What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We gonna talk about some rookies again. Jalen Johnson, a guy out of Duke. He sees himself as a Ben Simmons, as a Penny Hardaway, as a Magic, the greatest point guard of all time. Johnson seen themselves in as a big guy who has size and athleticism, the feel for the game, the understanding for the game, to run the show, be a coach on the floor, make his teammates better, make their job easier, grab the rebound and truck down the court, get to the basket, make the right decision, and just have fun at the end of the day. I'm not as high. I'm going to start it off saying on Jalen Johnson just because coming into the league, he's way more raw than any of those things. Even Ben Simmons was a guy that we felt really didn't live up to his potential offensively. He never really got significantly better as a free throw shooter or as a scorer, but he was an NBA ready body, NBA ready understanding IQ, and improved his defense significantly since he's been in the league player. And Jalen Johnson is a drop off from Ben Simmons, who was a number one pick, as he doesn't have the athleticism or height to me as Ben Simmons, and he just doesn't have the it factor. He struggles to me with his shooting also. He's not a great shooter. Most of his shots came off catch and shoot, which you want to see in the NBA if you want him as a small ball big who can set screens, roll to the basket every once in a while and finish. He has shown that he can finish around the basket pretty decently at the NBA level. He's going to have to add a little bit more to his bag, and seal a little bit more so he can get his shot off more clean as they're more athletic and more mobile than he would be, especially because even the fours are really threes. So the athleticism is going to be a disadvantage for him compared to college. But he is going to have to be able to make threes. He is going to have to be able to make quick decisions, especially in the pick and roll, whether that's passing, off the catch when you get the ball, passing to the right shooters, which you showed that you can do. They didn't really hit as much shots as you would like them to do in Duke. He won't have that much of a problem with that in the NBA as the floor is more space in the NBA and you have more threats and more weapons in the NBA than you would do in high school or college, depending on which school you go to, who your teammates are. So that's something that can definitely translate is his passing, which is probably his strongest skill. But offensively, he is just so raw. It's just tough to really see him having a great starting career outside of being years from now, just because this guy really can't consistently create his own shot off the dribble. Is going to be even tougher to me at the NBA level for him when everybody's just as big as you and if not more athletic than you. And he's going to have a guy that's a scoring guard that can really make his job easier to play. I don't really see Johnson as a guy that can really handle the ball and make a lot of decisions because a lot of time you're just going to go under the screen. You're just going to do like Giannis, sit in the paint. And this guy isn't as big or as lanky as crafty as a Giannis or Ben Simmons. Like Ben Simmons can still get the ball in the post and hit you with a quick move and dunk. He can still catch the ball and just dunk real quick because he's more athletic and more explosive. Jalen Johnson needs some time to get the ball and collect himself, then lay it up, get the ball, and go straight up. And I don't really see that being an advantage. I look at that more as a disadvantage because with guys being more faster and can cover more ground, that makes those catches and those go ups more tougher. And when you're a finesse player, you give the defender more chance to get back into play. You give your defender another chance to be more active, to even have a chance to disrupt your shot instead of just being able to catch and go straight up and finish consistently. And he just doesn't have that in his game. And if you're not going to be able to contort the shot, if you're not going to be able to find another way to protect the shot to still get it off, it's going to be tough for you to be an efficient scorer at the NBA level, especially compared to like college and high school. So he shows that he understands what he should be doing as a point guard. That's a big. He understands where to get to on the floor and when to pass. I think that understanding will help him be a guy that can give you at least 10 to 15 minutes on a good NBA team, just because you're not asking him to run the show. You're not asking him to be the guy, and you're not going to ask him to be your primary decision maker. You're going to ask him to be a combo decision maker, a guy that you can give the ball to and he can make plays, he can make decisions, especially quick ones. And other than that, we can use him as a guy that can space the floor. So I don't see him being a guy that I want to run the offense through. I don't see him as a Magic where you want him to have the ball all the time, making all the decisions, just because he's just nowhere near the offensive player that he needs to be. And he's also nowhere near the passer that those guys was. So to me, is either he's going to have to find a way to be a great support player, which he showed that he can do sort of in college, but at the NBA level, it's just a totally different game, honestly, than what he played. And he's going to have to learn pretty much the hard way, because this is how he wants to play. This is how he feels like he can impact the game. And if he doesn't really evolve a little bit more, he might just be, a starter like a Kyle Anderson, where he can run some pick and roll. He can handle the ball a little bit, even in transition, and can get to the basket every once in a while, can hit a shot every once in a while, but isn't a guy that you can really depend on consistently as a 25, 30-minute guy that's trying to win the championship. Now, if you're plugging him in and asking him to do certain things and allowing him to be himself in those moments, then maybe this guy can be an impact player off the bench. This guy can be an impact player as a starter, depending on what personnel that you have around him. And I can see him being a hybrid type of playmaker like that. But to me, I'm going to probably agree with the consensus. He's probably going to be better as a small ball, like four, where he can space a little bit, make a quick decision, get to the basket every once in a while if you don't pay attention to him, especially if you put him in a dunker spot, and just be a guy that just makes the right decision, makes the extra pass, and just keeps the offense flowing. And if they close out too hard or if they lose track of him, he can punish the defense for not paying attention to him with his IQ. Now, if he becomes that, he can have longevity in his league. But if he really wants to be a guy that's a dominant ball handler making all the decisions, I just don't see him being able to do it, because offensively, his game isn't where it needs to be right now. And the only way he's going to do it, a team got to trust him with the ball. A team got to really see that he can really be that type of guy. And I don't really see too many people doing that in the NBA. As Ben Simmons has been a guy that a lot of people want to be a power forward too, outside of being a playmaker. And when you look at when Ben Simmons made his best food, is when he was always the guy giving up the ball or bringing up the ball and running him in action or putting him in specific spots, because he doesn't want to shoot and he doesn't want to score. You can't really use him as a guy to make all your decisions, because teams are just going to dare him to score. They're going to dare him to shoot. And if you're not going to be able to make them pay, if you're not going to really torch them outside, they're going to just clog up the paint, make everything ugly and tough, or just be a help away defender to get in the passing lanes or to stop you from making the play. Now, when you're this tall and you're this big, you can see over the defense and you can see things that a normal sized point guard can't. But at the same time, it's really hindered when the guy is not really defending you anyway. So it's not really that much of a benefit where it should be. So Jalen Johnson is going to be a tough one in the draft. This guy shows potential to be a star caliber player in the right system, in the right role, but he also shows the upside of being a role player at best, where Kyle Anderson was slow-mo, but he's not really a guy that is an important, essential part of your team and what you do. He's just a guy that gives you a different look, gives you different options when you play him, and that's a benefit. That's why you use him, but also he's not really a guy that's really taking you over the top. He's not really a guy you're building your team around, and he's not really a guy that you feel is a significant enough piece to where you need him desperately. So if Jalen Johnson falls a little bit in the draft, I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Johnson gets picked in the lottery. It's going to be a team that is trying to use him in a different type of way, or they see him being a guy that can just give them different looks and give them different situation and lineups, and being a key, when his game develops and grows a little bit more years from now, um, as probably a difference maker at best. But I don't see all star. I don't see superstar. I just see a guy that can give you a little versatility, and you need those guys. Those guys are fun to watch. Those guys are the fans gets around, especially because he's a team player and he does, look forward to making the right decisions and plays. But offensively, he really needs to up his offensive game if he really wants to be bigger than that. But he can be. It's all about work ethic. It's all about coaching. It's all about schematics and give him the right opportunity and the right chance and an organization and a coach that believes in you. It can be done. The problem is a ways away. But then again, he is getting drafted. He is young. So it's going to be a progress that we're going to have to keep track of. But, overall, he's a solid player. You'll want a little bit more in the lottery. You'll want him to be a little bit more of a sure thing. But then again, a lot of these players are what they are, and you're trying to construct and build them up throughout years to get them at their peak. So we'll see what he becomes in the NBA. But he's going to be an interesting guy for any team that picks him. And I think that that's one of the reasons why you have to keep an eye out on him. Other than that, be back Monday with another video.